Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week we covered 1989's Nightmare Beach.
1 week of non-stop partying guaranteed to blow away so many brain cells you won't even remember your name. Oh, wow! Every one of these years, by sunrise Easter morning, I'm telling the whole school you're a bender.
I want to get off of this thing!
Welcome to spring break, the annual migration of the idiot.
So this movie is not only set in Florida during spring break, it's set in spring break in Florida before Easter, which, Easter was just this past weekend. So we thought this was a great one to talk about.
And also we're currently, the spring break ended for our area, I guess. Because, the different counties have different. My spring break was kind of in the middle of March.
Yeah. But we're around the time, so we thought this one was a good one to do when we stumbled across it. And this one's got quite an interesting cast in it. You got Michael Parks, who you'll know from all the Tarantino movies. He's played the sheriff in From Dusk Till Dawn, Kill Bill, Planet Terror, Death Proof. He's been in quite a few of Tarantino's. And you, of course, John Saxon from everything, from Nightmare on Elm Street, Enter the Dragon, everything with John Saxon usually is pretty good. So, and then lastly, the other main guy we want to talk about is Lance LeGault, who, if you watch TV during the 80s, he also was in everything. He was in the A-Team, MacGyver, he was even in Star Trek The Next Generation as a Klingon. He was just everywhere in the 80s. He was the guy, as soon as you saw him, you knew he was going to be the bad guy. And the rest of the cast is no one very notable. I was the main guy in the movie that played Skip. Actually went on to become an editor, a film editor. He edited things like Terminator 3, Wolverine Origins, some things like that. I mean, he seems to have done pretty well as an editor, but he only had 2 or 3 acting credits, so I guess he gave up on acting pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not, when you find that out, and you're like, I still want to be in the industry, but I'm not going to make it as an actor. Yeah,
so I'm guessing the editor of some of these big name movies he's probably doing all right.
So kind of like is it 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Right? There's like a little mini degree for me. John Saxon is in this film, which the film is about a man that supposedly committed a murder, and he's getting electrocuted. He's going through the whole thing. So then we have, literally in the same year, 1989, we have Wes Craven do Shocker, which is about someone that's getting electrocuted. That's where it kind of ends, because Shocker, as many of you know, goes into this whole crazy, thing where he becomes like the electricity. This one is different from that, but John Saxon obviously being in Nightmare on Elm Street and then being in a movie that's literally, which is weird that they both of these movies came out in the same year. I know this happens a lot with films.
Well, there's also a third one. There's also the one called The Horror Show. It has Lance Henriksen and Aaron Eisenberg, and I can't think of his name that played the killer in that one, but it's also another one about a guy who gets electrocuted in the chair and comes back for revenge.
Yeah, well...
That was a popular thing in the late 80s, apparently.
Yeah, this is... Spoiler alert, even though this movie is like over, 30 years. There is a little spin to this one. And we'll cover that later, but, it's very, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that had so many side stories. Yeah. There were so many, in horror movies, there were so many side things going on. There was a horror prankster. There was the beach thief. Also, this was not a side story, but a scene that they did multiple times, because you can't fucking say, hey, we're doing a movie during spring break if there's not titties. There has to be like the girl wet t-shirt bikini contest, and there are several of them in this film. That's its own side story.
But I will give them some credit, though. They actually had some dudes up there at one point prancing around, too. They had some guys up there showing their ass. So they tried to be, I mean, yes, there was only one scene of that compared to the, 19 wet t-shirt contests. But they at least were like, we'll give it a shot.
They're like, look, this is Florida, even though we're, kind of Republican. And when it comes to spring break, it's no holds barred. We're accepting everyone that wants to come off stage. We are not going to say, hey, you cannot do this because you don't have any titties. They were allowing everyone in there. Now, another thing that this film has that is mad cool. I've never seen anything like this. You see kind of in that Tarantino movie with Kurt Russell, where he has, his death trap car.
Yeah. The death-proof car.
Yeah, this movie has an electric chair motorcycle. Yep. Okay, that you should just watch the movie just for that. I mean, that and then titties / one scene with the guy dancing, if you're into that. That's the second thing. First thing, electric chair motorcycle.
Well, so let's go over the plot just for a second. The movie opens up with the leader of the biker gang, the Demons, who, by the way, their Demons logo on the back of their jackets is the Demons logo from the movie Demons. Exactly right off the movie poster. He is in the prison.
Wait, hold on. Put a pin on that. Do you think that's because this film was really directed by an Italian?
No, I think that was just like a little homage because one of the co-writers of it is that Umberto Lenzi, and I think they were just friends with Bava because probably all those guys hang out.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying, because they're all together.
Yeah,
that was kind of a nods up, hey, really liked your film.
Yeah, it's just like his little tribute to him in it.
Which was cool.
Yeah, it was cool seeing that logo on the jackets. I kind of wanted one of those jackets. So, Diablo is the leader of the biker gang, which, I feel like if you name the guy Diablo, he's probably suspect. But he's in the prison to be executed. Lance LeGault, John Saxon, Michael Parks, all there to watch this. They immediately, he's like, I didn't do it. You framed me. Of course, what does everybody in prison say? They're all innocent.
Yeah, they're all framed. And of course, in all the movies, John Saxon is a police officer. He's a sheriff.
Yep, he's the head of police.
That's why he's there. Then you have the sister of the girl that got murdered. She's there. And Michael Parks is the priest that's going to give him...
No, that's Lance LeGault.
Oh, Lance LeGault, I'm sorry.
Michael Parks is the mayor.
Oh, the mayor. Oh, good.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Messed that all up. Michael Parks is the doctor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to have the doctor. You got to have the doctor that's going to...
So they're all there, and with no fanfare, they're just I thought they were going to go for a full gore kind of thing, you were going to see him burn up or something, but no, they just electrocute him with a hood over his head. It's quick, not messy, and then they take him away. But that very night, the first victim of the electric chair motorcycle happens, who's just a random hitchhiker.
A girl
who just happens to get picked up by the motorcycle person and immediately electrocuted. Now, first of all, I feel like, worse than getting into a car with a strange person is getting into a motorcycle, because that's just... Who picks up a hitchhiker on a motorcycle? There's going to be something wrong right there.
Yeah, you have no security. I mean, I don't even think he gave her a helmet. So...
No. This was the 80s. Helmet laws didn't even exist yet. That wasn't a thing.
Okay, but still, I would have wanted a helmet regardless. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to be completely exposed on this bike that's going, 80 miles an hour. Nothing's going to happen to me.
Nah, not at all. Well, then we cut to our main character, Skip, and his best friend who are coming into town. And yeah, this is what I love, is that most of the time in these movies, it's always the girls coming into town. And there's always the super slutty girl who's just sleeping with everybody, and then her little innocent virginal friend who just sits in the bar sipping water while everyone else is doing their craziness. This time it's the guys who come into town, and the one guy's immediately just I brought a bag of rubbers and I'm getting laid. And the other guy's yeah, okay, you have fun with that.
I'm just going to be here. Maybe I'll have a drink. Maybe not. I'm just chilling.
He had 2 sips of beer. Every time they would order him a beer, he would take 1 sip of it, and then just sit around and go, okay, I'm going to go back to the hotel room now.
He was like an ex-athlete. Like, he got hurt, and then he couldn't be...
No, he blew the big game.
Oh, he blew the... Okay, fine. Well, his ego got hurt, so therefore he was recuperating from that. But as opposed to being like, I'm gonna get drunk every day and, have sex with every girl, he's like, nah, I'm gonna take the backseat on this one, let you go wild. But this also has the... blonde / dark hair duo that you usually see in the cop shows or in the cop movies from the 80s or anything where there's two guys. There's always a light-haired guy and a dark-haired guy.
Yep.
And this also has that check, light-haired guy, dark-haired guy. And you're right, you usually don't see the guys, it's usually the girls that are going to be like, oh, one's going to get wild, the other one's like the
guys come into town. Usually it's like the guys are both coming in to get laid, So, and this is where we start seeing all the side stories. We see the practical joker. He's swimming in a shark fin and terrifying everyone at the beach. Later, we see him pretending to be a zombie. We see him doing
He's a summer school guy. He's the guy, he's like the one guy from the movie, who's doing all the horror pranks.
He's out doing all this shit. And then we've also got the
And they're pretty good pranks.
Yeah. Then we got the beach thief, too, which I thought they were really going to do something with that. I thought the prankster and the beach thief were going to be working together. Because every time the prankster struck, the beach thief also stole everyone's wallets and everything.
Yeah, but he was definitely an opportunist because he was like, oh, this fucking guy over here is fucking this shit up. While everyone is diverted or attention's diverted, I'm going to take this opportunity to... And he only, from what I remember, he only robbed the ladies.
Yeah, he only robbed the women because he would be up flirting with them and talking to them.
He used his charm and...
When they turned their back, he ran off with all their wallets.
Yeah.
Which, once again, I always love that in real life and in movies, people go to the beach and they're like, I'm going to go in the water and leave my wallet and everything unattended. So I'll just put it in my shoe because no one will look there. That's sound logic. No one's ever hidden their wallet in their shoe at the beach before. But I was kind of disappointed with the beach thief guy because his plot didn't really go anywhere.
No,
I kept waiting for him to be like, he was going to be the killer. He was going to get murdered. Something was going to happen with him, but no, he was just kind of there.
Yeah, this definitely also hits the whodunit horror. Like, you don't know. Did Diablo come back and he's, reacting his revenge against, he wasn't truly the killer and he's pissed and he wants to kill everyone. Is it, some other person? Is it the mayor? He's mad. Let me tell you.
Everybody had a motive to be doing this shit.
Yes. The mayor, though, he didn't give 3 fucks about anything was happening. He's like, we are going to cover every fucking thing up because it cannot fuck up with the spring break and the tourism. He only cared about the money. Shocker there that the mayor only cared about the money.
It's like the Jaws thing all over again.
Yes.
But what I love too is this is the Daytona Beach, Florida Police Department, which is huge for spring break. But when they show their police office, it's like 2 rooms and a desk. And it's literally the police department is John Saxon and a deputy working the desk. That seems to be the only 2 cops that are in town.
Honey, because they're the Daytona Beach. They only do the beach. They're not doing the rest of the area. Okay. They probably have another cop, another office for the rest of the city. Because you can't have just one office dedicated to crazy crimes that are happening in Daytona. Have you been to Daytona? And then the other crimes that are happening on the beach. It would be insane. They would have to have fucking 400 cops to fucking...
I would assume they would have that many cops there. They would need them or that place would be insane.
Remember, the mayor only cares about money. He's like, you know what? 5 cops.
This is what I love with Michael Parks too. When the first person gets electrocuted and they're like, wow, she was electrocuted just like Diablo. You don't think Diablo could come back, do you? And the doctor's like, well, I don't know. Sometimes people do live through the electrocution and come back pissed off. And they're like, what? What the fuck? That's a thing? And he's like, yeah, I guess. It's like, okay. There's another thing where they're like, well, that's impossible or whatever. They're just immediately like, yeah, I guess maybe he did come back.
It happens. But the body's missing.
Yep.
Because, the body just went missing. Like bodies do.
Yep.
And they think that the biker gang wanted to give him a proper burial, so they stole the body.
From the place where he was properly buried.
Yeah. Yeah, they dug him up. They were like, no, bitch.
Take him to another location and rebury him.
They're like, we have a biker cemetery, okay? We fucking put beer on the fucking ground every day at 5 p.m. We have girls dancing on the fucking graves. We're revving up our fucking bikes. We're singing our bike songs. It is the dopest fucking cemetery there ever has been. That's where he needs to fucking be buried. Not this plain old Daytona Beach cemetery that's boring. Like, no.
I also love that when John Saxon is going to search for the body, he goes to a biker gang house. There's like 35 bikers there. John Saxon goes by. He's so much of a man. He goes by himself to serve the search warrant. He's not worried about any one of the 35 bikers attacking him or all of them attacking him. He's like, no, fuck you guys. I got a search warrant. I'm going to look for this body because I'm John Saxon and I'm not scared of shit. I would think you would at least take one guy with you to watch your back while you're searching things. But no, he's cool.
Most of I'm trying to think of all the cops. Yeah, there were, but I feel like you just mainly see John Saxon do everything. He's just like, the fucker only went home like one time, okay, throughout the whole movie.
This is the other thing I love with John Saxon's character, too. He's the chief of the Daytona Beach Police. He lives in the worst trailer I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty bad.
Like, it is straight out of, like, the 1970s with the shag carpet and the green refrigerator. It's terrible looking. And that's his house. Like, they do not pay that chief of police shit, apparently.
Yeah, that's why he's like, yeah, this is all I got to do because I have bills to pay. That's why he never fucking takes a break.
Apparently not.
I did forget to mention one of the side stories.
Oh, yes.
And that side story is the story of the, college girl that's just trying to get money for her tuition by being a prostitute. I mean, now she comes into play because she does catch the eye of the most wholesome fucking horror character, like in the history of horror. Is it like, move over, Sydney? Like, you just stay
here. He's not having sex with anybody.
He's drinking milk at the fucking during spring break at the bar. Okay, like,
and when he stays all night with the girl at one scene, he sleeps on the couch.
Yeah, he's definitely Mr. Wholesome. So that's what I'm going to call him for the rest of the podcast. Right. I'm going to call him Mr. Wholesome. So Mr. Wholesome, he's staying at the motel, whatever, with everyone else that's, spring breaking. And he, this attractive girl, like, catches his eye. There's like an interaction. And that's where it ends because she's like, yeah, hi and goodbye. I have fucking work to do. You see her several times in the film, meet up with an older man or just be around because she's just like walking around and an older man, steps up to her and she gives a sad sob story. And they're all different stories. I'm trying to become a nurse. I need a new nursing, a masseuse. I'm trying to have a new masseuse table.
That was the weirdest one for me because the other stories was like she was working her way through law school, nursing school, or something. And the guys would, after they would come out of the room the next morning, they would give her a big check. Like, this should cover your next semester of school or whatever. So it's at least a few $1,000s. And then the one guy that she takes back to the room and is like, well, that was the best massage I ever had. She didn't have sex with that guy. She just gave him a massage. And he was like, here's $100. That ought to buy your table. Like, she's working the big fish and the little fish.
Yeah, she's working all the corners, and I don't want any complaints, okay? I'm just gonna say this because let's be real. And we did joke about this when we were watching it. The guy, though, he was a little on the heavy side, and we were joking, like, how was he going to approach this, or how was she going to get this on? That's the guy that got the massage.
Yeah, because she didn't want to have sex with that guy.
Yeah, I don't even think that, I couldn't even see how that could even, and he was actually tall, too, so he had a lot of different, like, how do you climb it? Is it from behind? I had many questions of how that was going to go, so he got the massage.
He seemed happy, though.
He was very happy. He was very happy with his massage. I think maybe he was wearing suspenders. He had the whole, like, suspender, like, where you're like...
He's, like, flipping the suspenders.
Yeah. He's satisfied.
He was fine with it. So you got that plot going on. And then, you keep seeing, like, they cut back and forth to the biker gangs out doing their thing. And, of course, our heroes run afoul of the biker gang. And they piss them off. And it... Yeah, they're trying to set it all up. Like, some of the plot lines don't really go anywhere. Like, the Practical Joker guy, he was just there to eventually be a victim.
Yes.
Which, this killer is going around killing people who are doing, unwholesome things. Which, it was a little rough on the Practical Joker guy because, he wasn't cheating anybody, he wasn't stealing, he wasn't having sex with anybody. He just did some stupid jokes to get attention, and he still got murdered the same as the other people that were, working as prostitutes or, like, just out having sex with people randomly.
He was guilty because he cried wolf, and that made him a liar, and that is a no. Okay, So there you go. You gotta die.
And how like the people in this movie are all corrupt is that there's something going on weird because, like, all right, John Saxon's living in this 1970s trailer, like on a dirt road. The priest in the town, or preacher, because he had a kid, he obviously wasn't a priest. But he's got this ginormous house that he lives in, so he's taking, like, mad donations on the side that he's not supposed to take. And then we don't really see the doctor's house, but...
The doctor's house is the morgue.
It probably must be. But I love how when Skip there, or Mr. Wholesome, when his friend, he runs into the biker gang, and he's already pissed him off, so they kick his ass. 2 minutes after the biker gang leaves, the wholesome killer guy comes along, and he's like, oh, well, you're obviously not... you've been trying to have sex with women. You were in this fight with the biker gang.
We just have to say the electric bike killer, because you can't say wholesome killer.
Sorry, I'm getting confused there. The electric chair motorcycle, he comes along, kills him. This is the part when you're talking about the mayor covering everything up. The mayor just says, all right, well, he's dead. Nothing we can do about that. Just take his body out to the phosphate mine and pitch it in. Okay. Because no one's ever going to come looking for a college person that went to spring break. They're never going to look for him. You're cool with that?
Because he fucking doesn't know that his best friend is Mr. Wholesome, also a.k.a. Mr. Justice. He's like, where is my friend? He does not let this go. I was like, man, he really loves his fucking friend because he tooth and nail. Okay, from that moment when he starts looking for his friend, I don't even see the guy sleep again. Like, what does he do? He
did sleep the one night because he slept with the girl.
Oh, yeah. That's
in the girl's house, not with her.
Yeah. The girl being the sister of the sister that got murdered. Yeah. So they get together. And when I mean get together, I mean they're in a car talking and they're like,
very
looking at each other. Yeah, in their eyes. That's it. That's what the get together is, quote unquote.
So they're trying to solve the mystery of what's going on. And when he does find his friend buried out in the phosphate mine, John Saxon just shows up, and after he takes his shovel away from him and says, "Now, get out of here and leave the body alone, or I'll tell everybody you did this, and I've got your fingerprints on the shovel where you were burying him. So get the fuck out of town." Like, oh, okay, so you are mad corrupt, John Saxon. Damn.
Yeah, everyone is corrupt in this film. There's only two people that are not corrupt.
And that's the Mr. Wholesome and his new...
And Mrs. Wholesome.
Mrs. Wholesome.
Mr. and Mrs. Wholesome. Those are the only people that are not corrupt because if you live in Daytona in 1989, your ass was corrupt.
Yeah, apparently. So she was only native that wasn't corrupt. The rest of them all were.
Yeah, because she said, I had lived here my whole life. And I got this house after my parents died. And I'm not going to amount to anything in this town. ... Segue to maybe she's going to leave with this guy at the end of the movie. Who knows? Maybe that's going to happen if they survive.
Now, one of the side stories going on when we've got electric chair motorcycle killer running around looking for people to murder is, of course, eventually he's going to set his sights on the girl that's conning all the old men out of money. Well, also at the same time, we've got the hotel owner who he keeps going in the towel closet and looking through the peephole. And when I say the peephole, I'm not talking about like a Norman Bates-sized peephole or even a little tiny thing that you could see through. No, this peephole is like a good 6-7 inches around. Like you could put your 3 or 4 fingers through there and look around. This girl never noticed it until the last night there.
She never noticed it because the peephole was facing the bed and the bed was facing the opposite wall. So her back is to this peephole at all times and she's getting it on and she's on top.
I guess. But
she was only gonna now, and who's to say that if she was facing the other way, her head was not being buried in the bed? I mean, there's a lot of different reasons
Well, I
why
think
she
she was
could
in
have
the
not
room
seen.
during the day walking around. She might have noticed this giant hole in the wall that went to the next room, you know?
You think that she would have noticed. He didn't even try to fucking be like in the old, like, you know, haunted house movies where it's like
The
a
eyes
fucking
in the painting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a painting. There's just
No.
basically a big old eye in the wall.
You know,
And
in
the walls,
cartoon-
the walls like painted like fucking like ivory colored, so it's like you could have noticed that.
Yeah, you know in the cartoons when the mouse hole's on the baseboard and there's like this big circle there that the mouse can run through standing up? That's what the hole in the wall was like. So of course you have the electric motorcycle killer. He eventually shows up, kills the guy peeping through the window or through the peephole, and then she goes to get away. I love this. She goes to get away. She's so scared. Oh my God, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. I'll just wait for the elevator though.
Also, this is the whole film. Okay, since these fuckers got to this fucking motel, you have seen everybody in the hallway, people coming out of rooms. It is the busiest fucking hallway in all of the motels. Exactly how it would be during spring break. This time when except for when she's running out for her life, it's a fucking ghost town. It's like, is it spring break over? Is it just a regular day? Like, there is nobody to be found.
And then when the Trinity shows up, and by the Trinity I mean Michael Parks, John Saxon, and Lance LeGault, when they show up to check up on the motel owner that's murdered, apparently all of them took the stairs at the other end of the hallway, and none of them went up the elevator because it's only when they go to leave that they go, shit, there's another body in the elevator.
Also, the fucking elevator wasn't used from the moment that she was murdered in the nighttime till the next day when they found this other body.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of...
No one fucking entered the elevator that night. No one even came back from, like, they all just stayed in, like, they whored around in some other person's house or they slept in the street or in the beach. Like, no one from the fucking motel on like floor number 2 like came back.
Yeah,
super sus. Like, her just dead body was there, unless you were so mad drunk you thought this person was also drunk and you just rolled the elevator and just...
Well, her eyes were like burst out of her head, so probably they would...
Maybe she was not drunk.
Must have been, because it was rough times.
Let's talk about when they go to John Saxon's house. They show up and, you know, they found like pictures of like her sister being bound and like some other chicks being bound or whatever. So like evidence that he's the killer, right? When they get there, there's a fucking dog. He has a dog. I've never seen anyone mace a fucking dog. She maced this dog and it was awesome. I mean, like, yeah, it's sad because, you know, I don't know if the dog really got maced because, you know, this is like the 80s, so who knows?
It looked like a little can of like deodorant or hairspray is what that they had just painted black, because it didn't look like a mace thing. It looked like a little can of hairspray. So the dog probably just got hairsprayed in the face and then hopefully not hurt. But yeah, it was just like, I've never seen a movie where they maced the dog before.
That part was really funny. But, you know, the conclusion is all those bitches are evil. Like, the Trinity, as you said, they're all in on it. And they all had something to do with the death, all these deaths.
Yeah, Diablo, who kept saying he was innocent, he was innocent. He really didn't do it. The person that actually did it was...
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep, the priest.
Wow, shocker. The wholesome killer, as you called him earlier, because that's why you called him the wholesome killer, because he's a freaking preacher.
Yeah, the preacher guy. Also, as soon as I saw Lance LeGault in, I was like, well, it's probably him. They made you kind of believe it wasn't a few times, but I was like, no, it's definitely going to be Lance LeGault.
And let me tell you,
he's always evil and everything.
Lance LeGault in like a dominatrix biker like outfit, like I don't... Like, did he shop where, like, the Cenobite shop? It was a weird outfit they put on him. I did not. Yeah. He looked strange.
He just looked out of place. And I love, too, how, like, at the end, like, the bikers figure out that, oh, yeah, John Saxon did frame him for sure. So they just go and just snatch the chief of police, chain him to the back of the bikes, and just drag him off down the road. And they're like, yeah.
Off to the sunset. You
Which
never see him again.
Ironic. John Saxon got lynched, considering that in Nightmare on Elm Street, he was the one doing the lynching.
Yeah.
But, of course, Lance LeGault's chasing him on a motorcycle, trying to murder, you know, Mr. Hull and Mrs. Wholesome. Of course, he drives this motorcycle, bumps into a tire, flies over the handlebars, and into the electrical wires. Oh, the irony. Electric chair motorcycle guy got electrocuted. No one explained how this preacher knew how to make an electric chair motorcycle.
Yeah, where do you go for that? Is there an electric chair motorcycle shop?
I feel like that's kind of a specialized thing. And that if John Saxon and all of them hadn't been idiots, they would have been like, well, we should probably look into motorcycle shops and see who's been modifying those kind of things.
Yeah, because it was different. It wasn't like some weird rig that he had. Like the side handles where you can grip, like if you were going too fast and like the passenger could hold on the side.
Yeah.
Those were like that was what electrocuted them. Like they were like steel and like silver looking. So it was like very, I want to say high tech, but it was a fancy ass setup that he had there. I
love the pitchfork that stuck up on the back of the motorcycle, like he was the devil coming to get people and just jab them with his pitchfork.
Yeah. It was a pretty, is it the best movie? No, but it was definitely fun to watch.
Yeah.
Especially because, there aren't a lot of spring break horror films.
Yeah, surprisingly.
So that was a pretty neat thing to see. And we also saw it on
Canopy, actually.
Canopy, which, if you're living stateside.
Yeah, Canopy is a service that connects with your library, and you connect your library card to this, and you can watch some pretty good movies for free.
They have an excellent selection. I mean, they have like Criterion collections, they have old films, new films, they have a whole bunch, and you don't pay anything because obviously...
And these are not bad transfers either. This is like the Blu-ray transfer that was recently done for the Kino Lorber release. So it looks way better than it probably ever has before.
Yeah, they definitely, you're not going to get like, I mean, if it is an old film and it looks bad...
That's the only way it's available.
That's the only way it's available, but they do a pretty good job with getting like the most recent release of it.
Yeah, they have like what would be like the Scream Factory or Kino Lorber or Vinegar Syndrome. They have like their transfers that they do. Yeah,
because like who the fuck is gonna like, oh, let's do Nightmare Beach. That's a movie that needs to be restored. Like, no, that's not like, but they did.
They did. It just took a while. But I'm saying like, this is one of those ones, it's a great movie to watch. I don't necessarily need to own it, but I'm glad I can just watch it for free through the library.
Exactly. So definitely, if you're not taking advantage of your library card, definitely do that because that is a great way to watch a shit ton of films.
I'm going to give this movie 2.5 zaps on the electric motorcycle.
Wow. I'm going to also give it 2.5 zaps. It was entertaining, and all the kills were cool. I like, the whole electric motorcycle thing. Hadn't seen that before. The spring break, the murders happening in spring break. The kind of twisted plot, which you may or may not have seen coming early on, but they held in there, for the end. You knew 80s, some sus was happening, but for an 80s movie, it was pretty decent.
For an 80s slasher movie, it was a little different than the formula.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.